Hello everyone, let's take a look at a really special watch here. A watch that I didn't know existed, with a movement I didn't know existed until pretty recently. And I'm a pretty big fan of Citizen. Well, before we get into this watch, I want to just do that wrist check, celebrate the occasion, a different Citizen titanium watch. This is a really cool, what is it? The BN 0200 or 20 something. It's the orange dial variant. You really don't see that very often. Orange solar watch. I'll be making a video of that sometime in the near future. If you want to see that, you would have to subscribe. This is just a hobby. I don't review things, but I mostly have Seikos, Citizens, and Casios. Mostly quartz watches, like high-tech quartz watches, but I have a bunch of automatics. And I also have this thing. And this, I have never seen anything quite like it. So I think most people know that there are quartz watches. Some of them are solar powered, and then there are mechanical watches, and some of them have a rotor on it to generate power. You may be aware of Seiko's Kinetic line of watches. They're quartz watches, but they're not powered from solar. They're powered from a spinning rotor. Today, I'm pretty sure the Kinetic line is gone. Solar has clearly won out because solar panels have continued to get better. Capacitors went away, replaced with rechargeable batteries. The electronics in modern watches have gotten more power efficient. So a modern solar watch, no moving parts, other than the hands and the stepper motor or whatever, can stay charged for over a year in pitch black. And that rechargeable battery will last 10 or 15 years. But back in the day, in the 90s, there was this fight between, I think Citizen was really driving the charge on solar watches, which they eventually branded as Eco Drive. The first ones were, why does the name escape me? They had another name for it. Likewise, Seiko was driving the push on these Kinetic watches. It also had a different name. I think AGS, Automatic Generating System. Seiko had a Kinetic watch, the SBCW001, I think, that looked quite like this. It's a Landmaster titanium watch with full titanium bezel, and that's what we got here, although it's a chronograph version. But this uses an Eco Drive Duo movement. Let's get this closer so we can see. I apologize, I don't have good presentation etiquette. But this is a very rare watch. There's a couple of different colorways. I came across this randomly. If you look for Eco Drive Duo, you see a handful. I think this one is my favorite of the bunch, though. But not only is it solar powered, where you would see through these subdials, if I glint the light just right, you can kind of tell that they're solar panels. Maybe like there, right before my halo light kind of shines on it, you can kind of tell they're all photovoltaics. But the grand reveal. What is that? Wow, for a display window, that sure is well covered up with that logo there. That's Citizen's. I don't know if that's just the Citizen logo or that's the ProMaster logo, but yeah, we can tell there. There's a spinning rotor in there. So this is both solar powered with those photovoltaics, and it has a rotor. Now that rotor doesn't wind up a spring. That rotor charges the capacitor in here. Exactly how, I imagine a little motor generator, inductive power sort of thing. I don't know. That's about as far as I can say. I'm not an electrical engineer. But yeah, I think this watch is trying to address the weaknesses of both solar and Kinetic. I'm going to call that Kinetic, even though that's Seiko's term for it. Solar is nice in that there's no moving parts. That's pretty good, but it's only going to charge when you're out in light. You really shouldn't put those watches in a drawer. So if you're working in dim lighting, it may not be enough to stay charged over its lifetime. Kinetic is nice because as long as you're wearing it, you're out and about, doesn't matter the time of day, you're going to charge it up. But its weakness could be it's only going to charge when you're wearing it. You can't leave it like on a windowsill unless you put it in a watch winder, right? So combined, this thing is going to charge when you're wearing it, when it's moving, and it's going to get additional charging from any light. But you put it down, it's still charging. Maybe we could say that one of the downsides, though, is you have the complexity and cost of both. And I think that's part of what we see here. That's probably why there's not a lot of these, because there's a lot of complexity here. I would have no idea who to send this to for repair. The solar panel and everything is most likely still perfectly functional, but I know with Seiko's you might be able to send it in directly and they repair, but I think there's other people that will actually do some of that work. But that's a lot of moving parts in there. I'm really trying to give you a good view of a spinning rotor without the bracelet being in the way. Yeah, but you know, just like a mechanical watch that needs to be disassembled and lubricated correctly, I really doubt Citizen will do that. I could be wrong, but I've had to send older Citizens in, and past a certain age, they're just not going to do it. This would have been late 90s. I'm almost certain, late 90s. The watch in here, you can tell this is secondhand and it's doing double jumps. So it's not fully charged, despite having worn it, moved around with it for a bit, and putting it in direct sunlight. I think the capacitor in here is kind of at the end of its life. It's over 20 years old. That's to be expected. But I'm sure I could open it up and replace the capacitor with a rechargeable battery, which will charge and will last much longer, but maybe not. It might be a little more specialized than that, so I don't know if I want to deal with it. So a long-winded way of saying I can't fully demonstrate this watch like I would want to. It clearly has a click for a chronograph mode, where you would have the large second being the chronograph seconds with the tachometer. You would have, I'm pretty sure that's a 24-hour dial on the left here, and that's a Chur-min, so Chur-min, chronograph minute accumulator there. It is not a screw-down crown, which is kind of typical for chronographs. Okay, so the hour on the left is moving, so it is a 24-hour sub-dial over there. Really nice design. I like the silver on silver with the Romans and the accents, the red accents. That's pretty cool. And this bezel, it is a friction bezel. It's a compass. It's purely compass bezel. I really feel like this is inspired by that Landmaster, that Seiko. Yeah, it's up to me. Do I try to chase down someone who can service this and then try to find that battery and get it up and running? Or do I just keep it as a nice novelty? You know, that's a rare thing. I don't know how many of these were made in terms of total quantity, but I do know not a lot of models use this movement. So maybe the movement is listed on the back somewhere. So you would search for this movement and find all the watches they have. Yeah, the B510 movement would be all the EcoDrive Duo. It's quite possible there are others, like the B500 maybe. And the case for this is the H26230. So the total model number would be the B510-H26230. And that's what this watch is. Full titanium. I mean, a 90s watch with a pressed clasp is pretty typical. A fun little watch that you know, Kinetic comes up every now and then when you're talking about different watch movements and how, you know, maybe there's not just two categories of just quartz and mechanical. You see this, hey, this Kinetic thing. But I didn't realize that Citizen was doing their own thing. Citizen never came out with a watch that was quartz that had a rotor and not solar panels. So this is definitely a response to Seiko's Kinetic. This is their improved version of it. Being that there's only a couple of models and they're pretty rare, I feel like there was a year or two at most when they were making this, and then it just didn't go anywhere. I think solar just kind of revealed that it's probably the better option. You don't have that incredible thickness. Oh, I didn't give a size. 9 minutes into the video. 43 millimeter, so a big watch, but yeah, the thickness, 15 mils. So you have all the thickness of a solar panel, you have the thickness of that rotor. I don't know what the MSRP was on this. Probably expensive, you're getting all these technologies stacked. But I'm glad they made it. That's a pretty special thing. There's probably only a handful of watches in the world that can get charged from the sun or light and from your movement. And it's a quartz watch, chronograph, with a compass bezel, full titanium. That's a rare watch. Even if I never find a way to get that serviced, I think that's a pretty special addition to my collection. And hopefully you think so too. Hopefully you thought that was... Hopefully you're just as surprised that this existed as I was. You know, I love finding these little tidbits here. So let's just kind of give it a good showcase. I'm not so good with my remembering to make something look nice on camera, although the video looks pretty good to me. Let's put it on. Let's take off this other titanium Citizen. Pretty cool. That's a big watch. Yeah, 7.5-inch wrist. I want to move it around, but I know people will say, hey, why are you moving it so fast? Other people might say, hey, I want to see it from that angle. I want to see it further away. This is not my full-time job. And this isn't even my #1 hobby. This is like hobby number 3. So I try to get time when I can. And 11 minutes in, that's a lot of my time and a lot of your time, so I think we could end it there. Thanks for watching. And subscribe if you like oddball watches, primarily Japanese, primarily older, but newer as well. And yeah, if you liked this, give it a like and subscribe. I got a lot more videos coming. All right, thanks.